So once you guys can hear me, let's see some. Someone said kill the music, can't hear anything. So at least you can hear the music. That's good. Give me 1 second, guys. We're getting this thing going here. I see faces. Come on, someone has to say hi. Once I hear a hi that the audio is good, we will get started. This is that fun waiting game. I see one person responding. There we go. Hooray. Everyone can hear me. Iron Knight's on. Awesome. So everyone, welcome to DevStream number 10 for Knights of Honor 2. We're really excited to be back and chatting with you. I think we're always really excited. I need to come up with a new word. But we're very happy to be with you today. We have a lot to go over. I am joined by my good friend Alex yet again. Alex, say hi to everybody.
Hi everybody. Hi Brad. Nice
How you
to see you
doing?
again. Great. I'm just back from my vacation, so yeah. Wife is now better.
Yeah, Richard, what did you do for your vacation? Oh, you call it holiday, right? Isn't that the European vacation is us Americans' term? Isn't it called holiday for you Europeans?
We use both words, I think. Even in Bulgarian, we use two terms. So yeah.
Okay.
I was a bit stranded in a cabin in the woods for several days, which was my favorite part of the vacation. And then I had to go to the beach. So yeah. But it was nice, and something that is positive for the whole situation is that there was more distance and less people. So I kind of enjoyed that part.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, I am personally very much a fan of being out in the woods. I love mountains and just being in nature. I think it's because I spend so much of my normal life, playing games and working on games and being around technology, which I mean, I love. I could build a computer and geek out about this stuff all day long. But I think there's also something just exciting about being away from it all for a little while and just kind of relaxing. So very cool.
Yeah, exactly. We had a fox in the yard and so on.
Oh, really?
Great. Yeah.
Wow, I had a friend of mine that just moved up to the I want to say it was the Baltimore area, and she has a fox that she always sees during quarantine. She's always out in her balcony, and she was telling us that she kept on seeing this fox that would come in hang out in front of the back of her apartment every afternoon and then disappear.
Yeah.
Foxes are crazy creatures.
Yeah, pretty brave.
Yeah, very brave. I'm sporting. Everyone notice? I keep on putting the wrong side. I'm sporting some Black Sea swag today. I have to join my brothers in arms out there and wear their colors. We should give away some of these shirts on one of these streams. I bet you the audience would like that. Yeah, maybe we'll set up a competition or something and give away some shirts sometime down the road. So we have a lot of really cool stuff to go over today. I know that hopefully some people have had a chance to read that. Every night say I'll just buy one. We had a lot of comments on the Dev Diary this week. I actually think this is the most discussed Dev Diary we've released so far. So that's been, I think everyone's eager to talk more about traditions and kingdom traditions, and it's a cool topic. It's the first time. I know everyone's been hankering to see more gameplay, and we actually showed quite a few in-game shots this Dev Diary. Getting into now, we have a little more stuff coming together. We can do that. So I think we have a good show today for everybody.
Yeah. As we promised, here are the more in-game screenshots, and hopefully soon we will be able to share more in-game videos and so on. But thanks for everybody for the patience, because we needed some time to start showing stuff from the game. And
yeah.
Now we're
everyone's super eager to see I think videos. So we'll be doing that hopefully more frequently in the near future. So let's jump right into the topic here today, which is the Kingdom Traditions. And we have quite a lot to go over today. And we also, just so everyone knows, we have a special surprise at the end of the stream. Two of our frequent visitors with Ivory Knight and Yavor. We have something special for you guys, but for everybody. So make sure you want to hang out to the very end. I think you'll like what you get to see. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's jump right into the topic of these kingdom traditions. So I'm sure some people have had a chance to read the Dev Diary, but for those who haven't, we're going to go through it. So why don't we start off and just kind of tell everyone what are kingdom traditions. Alex, can you kind of give everyone kind of a high-level brief on that?
Yeah, if we have to do this, the 5 second pitch style, kingdom traditions are some advantages of your kingdom that work on a global level, and there are something permanent for the kingdom, and there is a wide variety of traditions to pick.
Yeah, they kind of. It feels like they're almost like kingdom skills. You know, you have like the skills for the knights that we've talked about in a couple other previous streams and diaries. It feels like it's that kind of concept just at the kingdom level.
Yeah, it's true. This is very actually a very nice description because they work in a lot of ways. We'll get in details. They are very similar to skills, and they are the skills of our primary avatar in the game, which is the kingdom itself.
Yeah, I really liked, and you know, you talked about this in the dev diary. I really liked the concept about how, you know, you have these things in the game that, I mean, they're not transient per se, but you know, when you have a knight or a province, a knight could die in a battle, or a province could be conquered or whatever. So they're not really, they're not persistent. They're not. I mean, they could be if you defend them really well, I guess. But they have this opportunity, this kind of risk for it. And these traditions are really more rooted in the personality of your kingdom. Once this kind of path of your kingdom is established, that lasts for a dynasty, for generations. You know, it's really the heart and soul of how you want to specialize that kingdom and the personality of it.
Yeah, that was exactly one of the pillars for creating the traditions, because we wanted the player to have some permanent long-term development, which is hard to achieve, but very gratifying. And the skills and the buildings, as you mentioned, are they are not permanent. You can always lose those. And with traditions, once your people adopt them, you know that this is something you will have until the end of the game.
So I imagine, one element of this is that every playthrough you can have, you almost kind of think of them as builds, right? Like every run that you're going through, you can have very different approaches to how you select your traditions, because they really do kind of define that personality.
Yeah, that's true, and you're almost obligated to have different builds. First, because some of those are more suitable for different kingdoms and situations, and second, there is a bit randomness in what you can get initially. So if you want very quickly to start adopting traditions, you don't always have all the traditions available.
I also think, I mean, does the order that you, because I mean, you have a range of traditions that you can get to your kingdom over a while. So I also imagine, like, in what order you grab traditions can make a big difference. Like, if you grab more of an economy boosting tradition in the beginning, maybe you're kind of building up more of an economy powerhouse. Or if you're trying to be really aggressive in the beginning, doing more military, like those kind of decisions can really change. Like, it's not just the eventual lay of the land; it's when you decide to grab them.
Yeah, definitely. Some traditions are very beneficial in the beginning of the game, and they pretty much can define the strengths of your strategy. So you usually do different things in the beginning of the game, in the middle of the game, and so on. So yeah, it depends, and it's very different in multiplayer as well, because the games are quicker and so on. Yeah.
And the traditions also, they work together with the knight skills. So there's kind of that synergy there. Like, I imagine if you have like traditions that are benefiting merchants, you may want to have a lot more merchants on your royal court in the beginning, versus if you have a lot of martial traditions, maybe more martial royal court members in the beginning. So there's things that kind of influence, I guess, how you'd play based on the traditions you decide to pick.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, this is the cherry on top for me for the whole system, the traditions and the skills, because for me it's just one system. They are very connected, and it's true that certain traditions can boost your builds for different combinations of knights. But sometimes, for example, some cleric traditions can boost a strategy with a lot of marshals, because you need more conversion of lands and so on. So it's very interesting. A lot of opportunities there for the players to explore.
Yeah, definitely. As we're going through here, like I said, we have a lot of questions from the community on the forums this time around, so we're gonna probably move a little bit faster through the normal part of the stream so we can get to all those questions, because there seems like a lot of conversation. But as we're going, if you have questions that are coming to your mind, please pop them into chat. I have someone, Elena, from our production team is in the background capturing those questions, and we're also going to cover those at the end too. So we're going to have some cool time at the end for questions, and we'd love for you to join our community and help. Like I said, a lot of cool conversation this time around. It's community.knightsofhonor.com. We'd love to have you join. We post the dev diaries there every 3 to 4 weeks, and it's be awesome time to get involved in those talks. So why don't you tell us about how the traditions are unlocked? Like, you have these tradition concepts, how do you get access to them?
Yeah, I just want to mention that we are still debating over some ideas, and some are already implemented, and we are certain that are going to stay. So I will start with the most significant and basic ways to get traditions.
And the way I think right now.
Yeah, and this is having one of your knights mastering that tradition to level 3. The traditions correspond to the skills. If there is a skill for something, that means there is the same tradition, and you need a very proficient knight to help adopting the tradition, to enable the adoption of the tradition. And the best way to do this right now, the quickest way, is using the king, because every time a king learns the skill, he directly gets it on level 3. So he's always the master of his skills. And that means that your king very easily shares his knowledge and can turn into tradition of the whole kingdom. And
yeah, it's actually, I'm glad you started with this. And for the guys, for everyone listening, I shouldn't say guys, everyone listening, this is an area that I would love, or we would love to get feedback from you on, because it's, Alex knows, because I submit, feedback on the build and things that we're designing and discussing. And this is a piece that we've debated about a lot, because like Alex mentioned, right now traditions are unlocked if you get a knight to level 3, and that's kind of the way that it gates it. And that works really well. It's actually kind of exciting because it kind of is based on your growth. But we've been brainstorming and trying to experiment with other ways that maybe we allow traditions to be unlocked, and we haven't really settled in on we've had a couple of different ideas thrown out there. We haven't really found anything new that's been like, oh, that's a really cool idea, we should try it that way. So for all those okay,
yeah, for example,
before you do, I like to say though, I love if you all have cool ideas, or you have you played Knights of Honor, the first one, you're understanding how the tradition thing works. We'd love brainstorms from our community too, because we're really looking for, this is an active conversation right now on different ways traditions could be unlocked. We don't know if we're going to change it, it's still being discussed actively, but it's an awesome opportunity for you guys to play designer and maybe give us some suggestions on how you think traditions could be unlocked, and we can use those as reference points. So
yeah, we always indeed listen to such ideas, and we're very open for implementation of new stuff right now. So that's absolutely true. We have debated for enabling traditions from some very special buildings, and also one other interesting idea was opportunity-based. For example, there is a scholar that comes to your kingdom, and he offers to teach you some special traditions and so on. But yeah, these are just ideas right now.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, there's lots of different ways we can do it. So hope that we get some really cool creativity. I saw some things thrown around in the community forums about like traditions based on specific cultures or different parts of the world that I thought was kind of a neat idea. Could be a little bit tricky, because then you maybe you have a lot of weird balancing you have to do when you start making these things specific. But anyways, there's no bad ideas right now. It's great to hear some of those thrown out. So love them.
Yeah.
So another thing that we talked about is that traditions are things that you kind of gain as you progress. So it's not like in the very beginning you can just unlock a whole bunch of traditions all at once. I think you actually have to, like you have this progression part where traditions, like you get a couple in the beginning. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that works?
Yeah, right. Well, we have requirements and cost in books and gold for tradition, but this is actually the easier part. Even gaining the traditions from knights is not so hard to do. But what is hardest is to unlock the slots for traditions, and this happens by progressing in one very important and difficult to increase parameter of your kingdom, and this is the prestige of the kingdom, which is probably the single most important parameter your kingdom has. And by progressing in prestige and fame, you are unlocking slots for traditions little by little, and it's not very easy to do. Yeah, it's the challenging part.
Yeah, I think it's really kind of neat that it has this kind of progressive element where as your kingdom is growing and getting more powerful, and you have this opportunity to kind of expand. And I also like it because it kind of paces things, right? Like I like the idea of having early game traditions, and then as you progress, you have to make decisions on. All right, well, I may not get enough of these slots for a while, so which one do I want now? Which one do I want? You have to kind of, you have to kind of plan your growth a little bit, and I think that's kind of neat.
Yeah, it's almost like a character experience, but
yeah.
But you can also lose prestige by making some bad decisions and losing provinces which are important and so on. So it's really challenging.
Yeah, that sounds it's a whole different layer to the game. It's not just about like going out and conquering per se. You have to kind of be mindful of the prestige, because you may have someone else that kind of ramps up and they get a couple of traditions, maybe one of your enemies, and then they show up with bonuses and you have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Excellent. I know we have I think we have Georgie that's going to come on here, and we're going to talk about some specific traditions, so we can actually highlight how these instead of just talking about the concept, actually get into how some of them work. But I know we have a long Q&A section, so I think you're going to come back for Q&A near the end, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah? There's some good ones this time around, so we'll have some good discussions there, I think. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Alex, for joining us on the first section, and we're going to go and move over to Georgie now. So awesome. Now, I'll give us a second to bring Georgie on here. I think he's here. Georgie, say hi.
Oh, hello, everyone. Hi, Brett. How's it going? Nice to be back.
Nice to be back. I see you still have. I actually I lost my beard a couple weeks ago, so I'm back to scruff Brad. But you still have the epic scraggly beard thing going on.
I still have it, slowly but steadily growing it out a little bit.
Oh man, yeah, I couldn't. I got to the point where the beard was just so.
It was consuming you.
Oh my god, it was. Yeah. I think it was the point where I'd been trimming it and whatnot, but I would eat and like my beard would curl into my mouth while I was trying to eat certain foods, and I'm going.
Oh, that's the worst. I know. Yeah.
It's obnoxious. You don't want to eat hair while you're eating food, and that was it. I was done. I'm like, forget this. Time to go back to scruff Brad.
Soups are the worst nightmare for beards.
Really?
Yeah, it's a difficult wife, that is.
I don't know if I ever. Is that because you like get the soup in your mustache?
In the mustache, yeah, that's the worst.
I didn't even think about that. I don't know if I don't really eat a lot of soups at home. Like I would eat I love clam chowder and chili, I guess, but I never really noticed it getting caught in my beard. Man, that sucks.
Yep.
Yeah, I love this is the arbitrary. I know this is a Knights of Honor 2 stream, but we have to have a little bit of beard talk. It is like beard quarantine. I think I've seen more people growing beards during this quarantine than I think I've ever had in my entire life.
Definitely. Well, I guess we can tie it in as well, because we have a skill called Charisma, which Icon, right now we're working on making it a beard, bigger and bigger beard. So yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I don't know. Well, I think there's isn't there like I think there's different. It's like in the beginning the beard looks good, and then it looks bad, and then it looks good again. It goes through different phases of beard growth. So maybe in the charisma, like it's almost like a leveling system, whereas your beard length equals but you also lose charisma at one point, then you can get a bonus and get past that. But survive the bad part of the beard to make it to the good part of the beard where you really get the charisma boost.
Yeah, we haven't gone that much deeper into it.
Well, let's enough beard chat. I know everyone loves us just geeking out about our own stuff, but we'll get back to the game.
Yeah.
So Alex walked us through quite a bit on the tradition side, and we were talking about how these kingdom traditions are unlocked. And for those, but I think it's actually I don't think it's much more interesting, but I think it's really cool to talk about the specific traditions and how you can play with them. So now we're going to spend some time going through those specific ones. And we did talk about some of them on the DevDiary. I think we're also going to talk about some other ones here during the chat. So the first one we want to highlight here is this cavalry tradition, which is I think the one that is in that screenshot from the DevDiary. It has some of the values there. Maybe you can talk us through a little bit about what this tradition is and how it works.
Yeah, definitely. It's I think it's one of those traditions that it's not what I would pick super early on in the game, because in general, I mean, cavalry is a bit more expensive to produce, so you wouldn't start with making cavalry units, but it's definitely one of those skills which is nice to keep an eye on if it goes into one of your knights, or if your king gets it. It's a useful one because from the beginning it looks a bit simple but it's really straightforward and powerful, because plus 10% maximum attack on mounted units is pretty epic, to be honest. And as you can see from the screenshots, there's also a few interesting things called tactics. So we haven't really talked about it at all for now, up until now, for tactics, and still we have yet to reveal what they really do. But the gist of it is that they work in simulation. So you can choose a tactic, you go in battle, and basically it's one of those moments where, if you think about historical battles where this certain move from the commander changed the outcome of the battle, you can envision tactics of something along those lines. It can change the battle. It's not so powerful, but it definitely has a place in the beginning of it.
Awesome. Yeah, I think we'll talk about tactics more in detail later on. By the way, big thanks out to the guys who caught the typo in the screenshot. We actually talked about fixing it, and I decided to leave it because it's this is one of the it's actually it makes me excited that it furthers the pitch that we definitely should do a closed beta of some type and get some fans involved, because if we get involved, you can find chance and kill instead of chase and kill. It's a good catch, a good eye. So thanks for the guys who pointed it out. Do you think
we immediately fix it in the game?
Yeah, right. Do you think you can tell us a little bit about one of these two tactics and why it would be powerful? Why would getting this tradition make a big difference with those tactics?
I think without going into too much details about tactics, I guess we can focus on maybe something like shock charge. Just theoretically, if you get shock charge at rank 3, it's interesting because it might hold some negatives on it. For example, if you decide to use it against an army that has a lot of spearmen, it might not be the best decision, because you're going headlong into them and things might be disastrous. And on the other side, the other army might be thinking, oh man, if he has this tactic, what am I going to do? So I might pick something different that is given from a different tradition or different skill. And I think this is a good example that of how situational tactics can be. Determines that depending on what armies you're fighting against and what territories you're fighting on and stuff like that.
It seems really cool that these traditions can just expand so much of the gameplay. So if you're a cavalry heavy player and you want to use cavalry in a specific way, your kingdom is maybe like horse riding. That's the personality of your kingdom. You go and adopt the cavalry tactics and the traditions, and then you can be more flexible with them. And then if an enemy is facing you, they have to react to that. They can't just they have to once they notice that you're taking that tradition, you're much more powerful with cavalry units. Maybe they have to switch their their approach and build more spear units or whatever. It adds so much more dynamic gameplay, I think, when you're making those decisions.
Yeah, definitely. If you play like Steppe Kingdom or Mongolic Kingdom or whatever, and you know that your territories have a lot of cavalry units in them, it's something worthwhile picking up.
Yeah, I know in the screenshot we also had that first aid one that you didn't talk about in the DevDiary. But that's another really cool one. I personally like the ones that reduce attrition to my forces. First aid is awesome.
Yeah, it's it's one of those skills that we were debating if we should put as a screenshot, because there's some information that, like, all of these screenshots we're putting out, there's little tidbits of information that people are gonna think about. Hey, what is this like? What might this work? What will it work like? So we're just teasing a little bit.
That's why. See, they know once we start showing more gameplay footage and screenshots, they're gonna sit there and dissect every little bit and find out more stuff. And they're already doing it, right?
Yeah, definitely. But it's an interesting tactic.
Yeah, good. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say it's an interesting tactic because it kind of it doesn't drastically change the gameplay, but it really adds a layer where, like, for example, the first note, which is percentage of the casualties are converted to wounded. That's a pretty big safety net to have, especially if you have a knight who is important to you, who you've leveled up a bit. Maybe it's your king. So you might want to pick that up for him, especially for the chance to survive battles as well.
Yeah, that's the part that I love the most, because I'm a little bit of a safe player. Like when I play grand strategy games, I wouldn't say I'm a turtler, but I like to expand once my territory is safe. I'm very much like, the slow and movable wall that you just can't crush through. And I always am hesitant to use a king marshal. I mean, king marshals are so powerful, but I'm sitting there going, man, if I make a mistake and I get myself into a bad situation, then my king is dead. But having, for someone that maybe wanting to be a little more safe, being able to take that first aid skill or tradition, make that my kingdom's tradition, and then I can actually use king marshals. I can have my princes be marshals, get marshal skills, and maybe put them on the battlefield a little more aggressively without having to be as scared that they're not going to make it through, which is really neat. There's another thing in that tooltip for first aid that I'm sure some people notice, which is that it's not that it just benefits combat. There is that little icon about the spy action on there, and that little line about bad medicine. So that these traditions have a lot of different impacts to different types of skills. So what is bad medicine? Like, what is this spy action that just showed up there randomly in this tooltip?
Yeah. Bad medicine is a really nasty action. It's a very situational one. Because you might not be able to use it at all, but if you do have the tradition, it basically envisioned the spy sneaking in the army's tents and plotting the murder of the leader, stuff like that. So if someone is wounded, there might be a chance for him to die due to unknown causes. Let's say it that way.
It's one of those things where, like, you can come out of a battle and the spy action may be available as kind of one of those context things.
It's we're not for now. I'm not really gonna reveal when it happens, because it might be during the battle, it might be outside of the battle, but it definitely works for an enemy knight who is wounded.
That's really cool. I mean, I love those kind of immersive elements where your kingdom has a certain personality to it, and then it opens up these different opportunities for different knights. One of my favorite traditions that I recently tried, I wouldn't say favorite, it's one that I just messed with in a recent game, was the spy tradition that gives you the assassination option for kings. So I was messing around with that because I tried to pull something off that didn't work, where I was trying to get one of my daughters to marry. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I've never tried this before. So I was trying to get one of my daughters to marry a kingdom's king, and then I was going to assassinate him and see what happened. Like, do I get free ownership of the kingdom? Do they go into, like, what happens? I wasn't able to pull it off because those guys were kind of mad at me, so they wouldn't accept my marriage proposal. I refused to use debug cheats to make it happen forcefully. So I ended up just assassinating the king anyways, and I spent a lot of time, like, making this spy very powerful. He had a lot of different skills. I had adopted the thing that helped those the traditions that help those success chances. And then I rolled the dice and tried it, and it worked. I killed the king, and his son had to take over, and it was just fun. And I like those kind of, like, opening up those gameplay options with the traditions that you adopt. They just seem really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Assassination not only gives you the option to kill the king or the queen, but it also boosts the success chance for those things. So it's somewhat of a vital skill and tradition if you want to really go crazy and control the fates of those who rule everyone. It's a very evil tactic, but it's both offensive and defensive, because the nice thing is that it also decreases the chance other spies murder your knights. So you can also get it from that point of view.
That's what I think is kind of the balancing act of the traditions. When you look at a lot of the traditions, even right now, and we're still, experimenting and fleshing them out, there's a lot of like trade-offs. When I'm sitting there and trying to make a decision about a tradition that you want to use, you're like, well, man, I could get this tradition that makes me more protected from spy actions, and I can do spy actions, but then I'm not going to be able to, I'm going to fall behind in economy because I don't have the merchant traditions, or maybe I'm not as powerful diplomatically. So I mean, as an example, maybe if I had one of the more diplomat traditions, I could have convinced the guy to marry my daughter and then do the assassination. All those things could have worked together, but then your military is not as strong. So there's a lot of these kind of trade-off decisions that you're making as you're deciding which traditions you want.
Definitely. I think it's a dynamic. The dynamic aspect is really interesting because you can change traditions, you can cancel them, adopt new ones, replace. And I think that should be a vital part of the strategy because, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. When you start the game, perhaps you might want something that involves merchants because, it gives gold. But later on, when you're swimming in gold and you have so many provinces constructing so many things and buildings giving you gold and whatnot, I think that's the time when you can maybe switch around and get that assassination, get something different that's a little bit more risky. I mean, we have some traditions that also have negative effects on them. They're not a lot, but they do exist. And those negatives you could afford later on in the game, potentially.
Interesting. Yeah, and by the way, hi, Abby Gamer. Welcome to the show. I love saying hi to people as they join. Ivory Knight asked a question I'm going to just answer right away, which he was saying, how quickly can you change traditions? Is there a waiting period? And from what I understand, you don't change traditions. Like, you set your tradition for your kingdom, and that's the tradition that you picked for that slot. Is there a way to change them? I don't think there is right now. Is there?
You can switch them around. I mean, if you have the necessary resources for it, you can switch them up. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can rearrange your builds, but that's
pretty expensive, though, right?
Certain amount. Yeah, definitely.
So I guess it's more probably about the resources and the timing for how much effort you have to put in to try to like reorient your entire kingdom to be a different layout.
Yeah, I mean, until you have all the slots unlocked and filled up, I don't think it's really useful to remove to switch to a tradition for another. And by the time you have all the slots, maybe you wouldn't want to change them as well, or you might want to change them then. But still, it depends on how your playstyle changes and what the other kingdoms do. Because, for example, you might want to go into diplomacy, and you haven't slotted any diplomatic stuff, so you can just change that up.
Yeah, I see some people in chat are talking about wanting a couple of these images as backgrounds, and I don't think we've done any image releases as backgrounds yet, but I know some people from the developer are on this channel. Maybe we could maybe what we'll do is we'll make a poll on the forums or something, and everyone can vote for which image they like as a background, and then we can make a high-res version of a couple of them and offer them up. So the website, by the way, for our community is community.knightsofhonor.com. We'd love to have you guys come and join it. Maybe Alex or someone from the team that's listening right now, we can get a poll put up with a couple of background options, and the community can vote. And then maybe we can release a background for the next stream or something. I'm doing this ad hoc, right? I'm shooting from the hip, so I haven't asked Vesa or anyone if this is an option that we can do. But you know what? Whatever. Sometimes I have to surprise everyone and make them go crazy for a minute. So maybe we'll see if we can get the art team to throw a background together and do a vote. That'd be kind of fun. So what are your favorite traditions to experiment with? Before we go to the question and answer section of the stream, do you have like traditions that you really like?
Again, it depends on what state of the game I am in right now. Like, for example, I really like to start out with stewardship, which we covered as a skill in the last stream. Sorry. Because it's pretty straightforward. I mean, you just get more governor bonuses. I mean, what's not to like? And every single knight you get gains something from it. It's situational depending on what class the governor is, but still it gives a default bonus to all governors, which is also nice. But I also like to experiment with stuff like we also mentioned Iron Fist as a skill, which is a really crazy tradition because it gives you minus happiness. Basically, it reduces the happiness of your kingdom because you rule with an iron fist and everyone hates you as a king. But then again, you get bonuses like you can increase your kingdom power, which we call crown authority now, for cheaper, less gold. And it's a powerful trade-off that can really mess with you late game, but it's a risk I usually take and it pays out.
So Georgie likes to rule the iron fist.
Well, until the rebels come and destroy me, but that's another story.
Oh, don't put up with them rebels, Georgie. Come on now. You gotta crush the rebels under your kingdom will, right?
Well, that's what marshals are for, right?
Yeah. I think that's fun that you mentioned that because there's been so many streams where people have asked, we were talking about, what was it? I think it was like 3 or 4 streams ago. We were talking about how you conquer kingdom or provinces, and there's an opportunity where you can convert the province to your. They kind of like are in that in between spot where they're not yours quite yet, and you can like send a cleric in there to convert them, and everyone's like, well, yeah, but what if you just want to like subdue them? Like, what if you want to be the warrior king and be like, no, you're my people now. You don't have a choice. I guess Iron Fist would potentially help with that, right? Like, if you want to, bring them to your will, then there you go.
Well, yeah, it would also make them more angry and make things worse as well.
There's a conversation in the chat right now. I don't know if you were watching it, but they're talking about making goats as a spy or having like some spy action around goats because we have the stream mascot being that silly goat image that
oh my god,
lovely Alex producer guy as made forever living as part of this stream world. So I don't know, maybe we got to find a way to get the goats in there somehow, at least a little bit, I guess. The war goats.
Yeah, that would be maybe an Easter egg. You never know.
I don't know. We could probably think of, there could be like a spy goat thing, or maybe there's like a special unit you can recruit that's like riding goats into war. I don't know. We can't get too silly, but
not gonna promise anything for now.
Yeah. Well, Georgie, thank you so much for joining the stream today.
Thank you.
We're gonna definitely have you on for more of these. It's always a lot of fun. I know it seems like everyone really loves all the game design discussion for things like traditions. The comments were so great. So we'll keep this going. And thank you so much for joining.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. It was a blast. Until next time.
Yep. Alrighty. So we're gonna bring Alex back on the stream. We have quite a few questions to go over. And we have a surprise for some of our friends. Oh, I love how Black Sea Games is now chiming in scapegoat. Oh,
Again,
God.
guys.
We all have jokes. How you doing, Alex?
Great. Just enjoyed what Georgie said, and I'm preparing to crush his tactic with Iron Fist.
What I love is, the audience can't, but I actually can see all of you guys while we're doing this, as we're on a call, so I can see. So I'm talking to Georgie here, and I see Alex laughing and making gestures over on the side as we're chatting back and forth, so I can see when he's amused by what Georgie's talking about. It's pretty great. So we have a lot of questions to go over, and like I mentioned before, the DevDiary is up on community.knightsofhonor.com. Some awesome conversations there, and I wanted to give us enough time. I cut the thing about 20 minutes early so we can go through these questions and discuss them, because I think there were some really good ones. But before we go into the questions, I promised a special treat for a few of our fans today. So Ivory Knight, he won the race this time around. He was the first comment and question on the Dev's Diary. I know him and Yavor were having a few fun competitions back and forth on who could post first. So I think before I say anything, Alex, why don't you set up what we're about to show? What have we done here for these guys?
Well, we have prepared something very special for them, because they are special to us as well. And let's say that a picture speaks 1,000 words. So
Yeah, Alex. So you can go, producer Alex. If you can go put that image up for a little bit. We'll talk about this for a second. So we're still experimenting with some of the technology. So these may look better. There's lots of new iterations we're doing on making these portraits come together. But we went ahead and made images of Yavor and Ivory Knight, I guess, from some pictures we got of them. So I find it very interesting. I don't know if you caught this, Alex, but on the chat. On the post on the forums for the DevDiary, someone made a comment. They're like, "Hey, doesn't that portrait up there, that screenshot, look a little bit like Ivory Knight?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, they're already noticing." So that's how clever our fans are. They picked that up. We even had a chance to show it, and someone already noticed that up there. And I remember Ivory Knight was like, "Oh my God, it does kind of look like me." Well, yep, you're 100%. It was you. We've now made images of both of you guys in the game. So awesome. And we'll probably do more of this stuff later on. We may have like a little bit of a thread where people can post their pictures, and maybe we'll make future ones. And it gives us an opportunity to, thank you, the community. We wanted to bring you on this adventure with us early. I know everyone's so eager for an update on the release date and seeing more footage, but our goal here was to get you involved in the development process and have fun with this thing. For the people that are enjoying that and being a part of it, this is the kind of way we can play and have fun with you too. So. Really cool.
Yeah, I just want to mention that these are not some photoshopped images, but they're made with the in-game technology for portraits. So yeah, they're fully integratable in the game.
Yeah, and it's a neat way for us to be able to do some cool stuff for our community. So Ivory Knight and Yavor, you have been immortalized in the Knights of Honor legacy. You're now you got your face in the game. So let's go ahead and get into the questions here. And in true fashion, Ivory Knight got the first response, so I'm going to go through his questions first. So what he said, his first question was, do traditions relate to a nation's culture and religion at all? For example, are some tradition types more expensive to purchase if your nation is Islamic or Catholic, French versus English, or do all traditions have the same base cost and are simply large boosts to skills?
Okay, that's a good question. This is one of the things in the game that we want to make more sandboxy, and we don't want to determine the strategies of the players too much by picking a specific kingdom. So in general, we intentionally we discuss that, but we let them just equal for all kingdoms. But there's one interesting exception. There are some special traditions that we are definitely going to talk later on, but they are very specifically made for pagans. And since pagans follow more traditions and have some other disadvantages, the traditions are exactly what compensates for them. And they're unique, but we have to discuss them later on.
Yeah, I know that right now you guys are really on this current milestone. The religious aspect of the game, the religion features are taking a really big revamp and kind of a lot of new functionality being added in. So maybe in probably not next couple streams, but maybe like in a few months we'll be able to talk about some of that in more detail. It'll be fun.
Yeah, pagans deserve a specific stream for them.
Yeah, definitely. So we also had BC Knight. He asked a question about the prestige screenshot that we had. So BC Knight asks, this screen looks similar to Knights of Honor 1, but also shows that the traditions that the kingdom has. Does this mean that if you click on one of the other's kingdoms, you will see their traditions? And he hopes not. So the question really is, can you inspect passively a kingdom and just see their traditions, or is it something you have to discover by playing against them and kind of figuring it out?
We have to disappoint him because right now you can check out the traditions of other kingdoms. And we see this as historically correct because traditions are something huge that you cannot hide from other kingdoms. But of course, it is possible that it will be done with espionage later on, or it will not be so easily visible. But right now you can just check the other kingdoms' traditions. But it's something like you can brag about, especially in multiplayer and so on. I think it's nice to be able to see that.
Now I'm doing the thing that I shouldn't do, which is talk ideas during a stream, but it could be kind of neat to be able to like have diplomacy or espionage, like multiple ways where you learn about other kingdoms. So it's like maybe there's like a big kingdom like the Roman Empire, if they're around, where if they're a certain size, everyone just kind of knows about it because it's tribal knowledge. But if there's smaller kingdoms, you have to send a diplomat or get like a relationship with them. And so when you first get on, you only know a little bit about them. And as you learn more, that kind of paints a better picture of who they are and what their traditions are.
I'm not sure whether you know this or you're just guessed, but this is actually how it works right now, because you can check the traditions only of great powers.
Yeah.
So
it's a big game. No one, can't know everything. That's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone, even I'm learning stuff. It's awesome. Thanks for the question, BC. You got me to learn new things. Another question that BC asked is this working the same way for the AI? So how do the AI choose their traditions? Is it based on historical relevance or is it random? And would it possible for the player to see other can't? We already talked about the last part of it. So is the AI also picking traditions and having those benefits and choices as well?
Yeah, but it's not historically based. It depends on other of the situation of the game and what the AI currently needs. We are not trying to make some historical correct stuff, like for example the Englishman always picking the archer tradition and so on.
Right.
That's not the idea. Yeah.
Right. Well, again, we're trying to go for that sandboxy feel, so you get that sandbox feel in there. Yeah, cool. That said, I mean, modders, I guess, if modders wanted to go in there, they could probably set up like tradition layouts for the world and like influence that maybe. Field Marshal asks, does the cost of getting a tradition or knight skills and similar scale up with Kingdom's development, or is it a fixed price in gold and books?
It scales. Basically, the bigger your kingdom is and the richer it is, it costs more to adopt a new tradition, which is logical because you have more people, more territories, and so on.
Right. Cool. Templar Knight 633 says, I really enjoy this concept, so that's awesome. If you entirely conquer a kingdom, are you able to absorb any of the traditions that they had acquired during their reign? Also, can the tradition advantages of one nation be shared with vassal kingdoms, or does each kingdom have to earn their own traditions and skills?
Right now, you cannot, but I must say that I love that idea, especially, for example, also royal marriages and so on. Can give you some possibilities in that direction to share traditions, and it's a great idea, so I will definitely discuss it. I'm all for it. That's nice.
And this is where I think I want to iterate again. I mentioned this earlier on the stream, but I think it's really important. A lot of these systems are still being developed right now, and like we talked about earlier on the stream, we have a couple ideas. We have certain ways that things work right now when it comes to unlocking traditions, where it's based on the knight skill. But we're in the idea phase at the moment too, trying to explore different ways that could happen. So I really encourage you guys to, if you want to play designer and come up with some ideas for how traditions could be unlocked or things like this. I mean, we're looking for those ideas right now. It'd be great to get some thoughts from the team or from our fans on how they could envision these traditions, because you never know. I mean, it certainly could make it in the game. I can promise you that there have been ideas that we've talked about on these streams or in the DevDiary comments that have already made it into the game. I mean, there's changes that are being made based on this feedback. So please, go on the forums or go on Discord and discuss these things. We're always watching and listening to get those ideas and leverage them. It's great. And then one last question from the community, and then we're going to go on to some from the chat here. So Yavor, which I don't think he's here today, but that's okay. Yavor said, asked about if we'd be doing something on tactical battles soon. So he basically asked if we're going to be talking about tactical battles and going to some of those. We're not talking about them yet, and honestly, most of that's because they are very, very much in development. We've built some really cool technology, I guess. We've been focused on the technology aspect of how battles are going to work, how the battles are going to be populated, solving technical problems with like how we render the world and the visual fidelity of battles, how we set up the meshes, the physical objects in them, and how the environments are laid out. So at this moment, it's if we were to talk about them, we'd say, well, we have a lot of tech stuff we could talk about, but that's pretty much all of it. So as battles start maturing and we actually get enough functionality in there that we can start showing and talking about some of that stuff, we will most certainly dive into them. But at the moment, it's still Alex is smiling as I'm talking about this. They're still very, very early on when it comes to feature sets and development. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Alex.
No. I'm just glad that you covered that up because I'm not sure what we can share yet and whatnot. But yeah, some great stuff coming there. Also.
Yeah, the last, just to give you an example, right? Like the technology it takes to do or trying to do is actually pretty complex. And so, sometimes in game development, it's not like the heavy lifting is before you even get into designing things in a weird way. It's like it takes a lot of time and effort to build certain types of features or systems that are not even really about the gameplay. They're more about how you facilitate different types of gameplay experiences. Think about like, not in our game per se, but if you have games like Total War where the render so many units on a screen, the technology it takes to do that is not always simple. So you could spend large amounts of development just building up that tech before you're actually able to go in there and the designers can go in and start implementing and trying things and seeing what works. So that's the phase we're at right now at the battles. There's not really much to talk about because they're still building that tech. I can tell you that some of the tech that I've seen has been pretty cool, and we've seen some neat. I don't know if I call them like prototypes. They're really more just like showcases for how the tech can be used, and they're definitely coming along. But it's probably going to be a number of months before we're ready to really talk about those in detail. So,
yeah,
that sound about right? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
I see Alex smiling. He's like, "Oh God."
There is a lot of stuff done and a lot to do more. So.
Yeah. So the next thing we'll talk about here, we have a couple questions from the chat that came up, and if you guys want to get your question answered, we have about 7 or 8 minutes left, so this is the time to dump them into chat, and we'll have kind of a conversation back and forth. So the first one is Niners Gaming asked, or Niners_Gaming, I apologize, asks, is level 3 with the King skill for all his skills or only for the first skill? So he's asking because we talked about this earlier on in the stream that Kings, when they get skills, skills have 3 levels to them. And for most knights, you have to actually upgrade those skills in order to get the level 3. And there's benefits that happen at each level. But one cool thing about a king, if you're the king, you start off your skills at max level. So
every not just the first skill that you get initially, but afterwards, if you learn a new skill, you get it directly on level 3. And there's one very very cool tradition that helps you do the same with the princess. So
really?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it was warning, but yeah. So it's very nice, and to level up your princess is a pretty good strategy because afterwards they become kings. So if you have instantly from the beginning the king having 3 or 4 skills, it's very strong.
That's really interesting. I didn't know about that. And that can be really powerful if you have a lot of princes. Like if you have a lot of princes because only one prince becomes king. But you can leverage each of those princes, and we've talked about in previous streams how the royal family has different mechanics than the normal knights. Like the way that gold is generated by prince or king merchants and things like that. So, man, that can be powerful. Where like you get that skill, and then you can basically boost all of your prince skills like right off the bat. That's
It's
pretty
very very powerful.
Yep.
And yeah.
The other one. So the next question I have is Massim90 asks, question for today. In one of the screenshots, there was a tradition to boost both trade output as well as strength in naval battles. I thought you decided against naval battles, so did you change your mind about that, or did I misunderstand something?
I can't remember when we mentioned that there will be no naval battles. There are no battle view tactical naval battles, but of course you can fight in the sea, and these battles have a lot of specifics. For example, different martial skills work better, and
the admiral skill, I think, or the admiralty skill.
Even units have different statistics for naval battles. So we definitely have naval battles, but they are not on a tactical map, so to say.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, maybe are new to the Knights of Honor franchise, we are a grand strategy game, so the game is really at the grand strategy focus, where you're managing your kingdom, your provinces. You have knights that you're doing things through. But there's also this light RTS component where battles can be you can decide whether to have the battles simulated on the world view, or you actually can jump in and play the battles in kind of this RTS kind of gameplay. What you may have Miss M90, what you may have been remembering is we talked about how naval battles aren't going to be in the RTS gameplay. We're not going to have RTS gameplay where you're having ships and you're moving them around or anything like that. But you definitely can have battles on the water if like your two forces meet and you want to stop them from getting to land or whatever. They would just be simulated, and there's skills that influence the outcome of that. So hopefully that clarifies it. Great question, because I imagine other people may have been confused by that comment as well. So I like that.
Yeah. Just an interesting fact. Recently we had some games playing England and Scotland against Spain and Portugal, Aragon and Portugal. So naval battles was the whole game actually. So it's a pretty big thing.
Yeah, I see Georgie smiling there off camera. I'm thinking he was part of that fight.
Yeah, he was in my team.
Yeah, I actually just had a game a multiplayer game that we played where I think one of you guys decided to jump on a boat and come across the water and like rush me within the first 3 minutes of the game. So that was fun. I should have naval battled you guys before you invaded me in the very beginning. I did not enjoy that. Last question before we call it. So Field Marshal says, so if a mounted squad with a normal size of 10 units gets a 25% size bonus, will it have 12 or 13 units in each squad? So basically, is that how it works? Like if I have a cavalry unit of 10 units and I take that tradition to get that 25% squad size bonus, do I now have like 12 or 13 units in that squad?
Yeah, this is how it works actually. These are not the exact numbers actually for the squad sizes and so on, but if you get that tradition, you have more units, which means more health of the squad and more damage. So it's very, very powerful bonus actually.
Awesome, really cool. Well, everyone, that's pretty much our stream. I thank you so much for joining us. I don't remember, did we talk about our topic for the next stream? Alex, maybe you can fill everyone in. I don't think I mentioned it, so if you can go ahead.
Yeah, we're not 100% sure, but it should be merchant and trading, which is a huge topic, one of my favorites. The dev block is actually prepared, but we can push something before that. But yeah, we'll see. But probably merchant and trading will be the next time.
Money.
Money, yeah.
Yep. So that'll be in 4 weeks. We've been keeping up with this pace, so you'll probably hear from us in 4 weeks. So keep an eye. Please join our community.knightsofhonor.com. We're also on Facebook. We're on Discord. We have all the different pieces. We'd love for you to get connected. It's been a great time hanging out with you today. Hopefully you've enjoyed this deeper dive into mechanics. And hey, we showed a lot more gameplay screenshots, so that's a win. Hopefully we get some likes from that. We saw the GOAT. We've had a good show. So of course, we'll actually someone, whether it be Alex or myself or someone, will post the Ivory Knight and Yavor image for the whole world to enjoy on the forums too. So we'll get those up there, and you guys can take a look. Thanks everyone so much for joining. We really enjoyed spending time with you guys today, and we will see you next time. Cheers everyone.
Thank you. See ya.